A winding path cuts through the rolling hills of the English countryside, leading to a $30 million escape few knew existed. Stone by stone, Ellen DeGeneres has traded red carpets for quiet fields and studio lights for Cotswolds sunlight. Why would one of Hollywood's most powerful women leave it all behind? Today, we step inside her secluded English country estate and unravel the story behind her journey from laughter to stillness. She was born in a place where the air hung heavy with southern humidity, Metairie, Louisiana, a quiet suburb of New Orleans. There, under modest rooftops and in the shadow of a fractured family, a young Ellen Lee DeGeneres learned early that laughter could be both armor and salvation. But behind that laughter, a world few saw. Ellen's childhood was marked not by comfort, but by contrast. Her mother, Betty Jane, a speech therapist with a kind heart. Her father, Elliot, an insurance man with a quiet presence. When they divorced in 1974, Ellen's world split too. She moved with her mother and stepfather to Atlanta, Texas, while her older brother Vance, who would later become a musician and producer, stayed behind with their dad. But something dark and life-altering followed Ellen into that small Texas town. At just 15, she endured something no child should. A betrayal that would scar her trust and force her to grow up faster than any teenager should. Her stepfather's abuse was a silence she kept for years. When she finally told her mother, the truth was dismissed. The pain, internalized. How does a girl heal from that? She doesn't. She hides it. Behind humor, behind distraction, behind the rhythm of hard work and unspoken strength. Ellen graduated from Atlanta High School in 1976 and returned to New Orleans to attend the University of New Orleans, studying communication. But classrooms didn't hold her long. She dropped out after one semester and dove into the real world, taking odd jobs that taught her far more about people than any textbook ever could. Saleswoman at J.C. Penney, waitress at TGI Fridays, painter, bartender, paralegal. Each role a step, each step a rehearsal for something bigger. But what she couldn't suppress was her need to make people laugh. In smoky bars and cramped comedy clubs, she found her voice, raw, unfiltered, and startlingly funny. In 1981, she landed a job emceeing at Clyde's Comedy Club in New Orleans. By 1984, she was named the funniest person in America by Showtime. That title wasn't just a crown, it was a lifeline. From there, the stage lights followed her. She appeared on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And when he called her over to sit beside him, a rare honor, Ellen knew the game had changed. In the 1990s, she stepped into sitcom fame. Her show, originally titled These Friends of Mine, would later be renamed simply Ellen. It was funny, relatable, and wildly popular. But nothing prepared the world, or Ellen, for what would happen in 1997. In a seismic moment of bravery, she came out as gay, both in real life and through her sitcom character. The episode, featuring Oprah Winfrey as her on-screen therapist, aired to thunderous applause and quiet backlash. Suddenly, the woman who had made the world laugh became a lightning rod in the culture wars of the late 90s. Advertisers pulled out. Networks hesitated. The show was canceled just 1 year later. Was it over? Not even close. Ellen disappeared from the spotlight for a time, but she didn't stop. She returned to stand-up, sharpening her edge, waiting for the next door to open. In 2003, it did, wide. The Ellen DeGeneres Show launched, and within 3 seasons, it had won 25 daytime Emmys. It wasn't just a talk show, it was a revolution in daytime television. She danced with presidents, laughed with celebrities, cried with strangers, and gave away houses, scholarships, and cars like confetti. Her energy was magnetic, her generosity contagious. Millions tuned in not for gossip, but for goodness. And behind the jokes was a woman who had lived enough pain to know what kindness meant. Voice acting as Dory in Finding Nemo only added to her cultural touchstone status, lovable, forgetful, and endlessly optimistic. But success never softened her values. She turned her platform into purpose, her fame into fuel for causes bigger than herself. Still, after nearly 2 decades at the helm of her talk show, something inside her began to shift. The spotlight started to feel loud. Fame, once her vehicle, had become a burden. So, in 2022, Ellen walked away. The final episode aired. The studio went dark. The laughter quieted. And in its place, silence. Peace. A different kind of stage. She didn't fade. She transformed. And where did that transformation lead? To a quiet farm in the Cotswolds, far from the echo of applause, where the only audience is the wind, the hills, and the person she's become. Let's open the gate to that very retreat, the one she now calls home, far from Hollywood, deep in the heart of the English countryside. Country home in Cotswolds. The Cotswolds. A name that sounds like it was plucked from a storybook. And in Ellen DeGeneres' case, it might as well be. Tucked among rolling hills and honey-colored stone villages lies Kitesbridge Farm, Ellen's secret refuge from the world. Valued at $30 million, this 43-acre estate isn't just a house. It's a declaration that even the brightest stars sometimes crave shadows, that even the loudest voices yearn for silence. So what does peace look like when it's built in stone? Let's open the gate. It creaks slightly, not from neglect, but age. History lives here. A gravel path curves gently through sculpted gardens, past ancient oaks and manicured hedges. The air smells of fresh rain and something older. Memory, maybe. Then you see it. The main house, a 16,000-square-foot sanctuary, rising from the land like it's always belonged there. Built in the 1700s, its architecture whispers of centuries past. Thick stone walls, exposed wooden beams, sun-washed windows, and a roofline kissed by ivy. This isn't Hollywood modernism. It's English restraint at its most elegant. The front door opens into a foyer filled with soft light. No chandeliers, no gold leaf, just quiet sophistication. To the right, the living room. Sun pours in from tall, divided light windows. The walls are lime-washed in muted cream, grounding the space. 3 sheepskin-covered sofas form a cozy circle around a stone fireplace. A warm plaid blanket rests on the armrest, a subtle nod to British country decor. Here, Ellen reads, thinks, laughs, but only when she wants to. Next, the kitchen. This is no showroom. It's a working, soulful space. A long, solid wood island anchors the room. The countertops are strong and worn, perhaps soapstone or reclaimed timber, surfaces that invite touch. The backsplash. Simple glazed tiles, hand-placed. Above the stove hangs a wrought iron rack from which copper pans gleam. And the scent. Herbs from the garden, slow roasting root vegetables, something baking. The dining room opens just beyond, with mismatched chairs and a rustic farmhouse table. You can almost picture Ellen and Portia seated here with friends, passing dishes, clinking glasses, speaking softly over candlelight. But the surprises don't end indoors. Follow the corridor lined with floor-to-ceiling glass panels. Outside, English roses bloom in wild symmetry. This walkway connects the old-world charm of the main house to a series of sleek, modern outbuildings, a signature blend that mirrors Ellen herself. Rustic heart, modern mind. One of the annexes houses a private gym, filled with natural light and reclaimed oak floors. Another holds a heated indoor pool where the ceiling reflects the changing sky above. And perhaps the most unexpected? A traditional British pub, custom-built, because if you're going to leave Hollywood behind, you may as well toast to it in style. Every detail of Kitesbridge Farm feels intentional. It's not flashy. It's not trendy. It's Ellen. A woman who once lived under stage lights now lives under wide skies. A woman who once heard applause daily now hears birdsong instead. From the outside, it's just an estate. But to Ellen, it's a breathing, sheltering symbol of transformation, of freedom, of finally coming home. And yet, her story doesn't end at the doorstep, because while the house may be still, her soul is still in motion. What moves someone like Ellen when the world slows down? Let's open her garage and find out. Because even in the countryside, the road still calls cars. You might think that someone who lives in a 300-year-old English farmhouse would have long said goodbye to speed. But not Ellen DeGeneres. Even among the winding roads of the Cotswolds, the hum of finely tuned engines still echoes. Not out of vanity, but love. Because for Ellen, cars have always meant more than horsepower. Their emotion, their freedom, and each one in her carefully curated collection tells a story. Mercedes-AMG GT. Let's begin with power wrapped in elegance. This is no ordinary luxury car. It's a 523 horsepower beast, capable of sprinting from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.7 seconds. But for Ellen, it's not about numbers. It's the way the engine growls just enough. A confidence without arrogance. Finished in sleek obsidian black, her AMG GT turns heads, even when she's driving through sleepy country lanes. Once seen gliding through Montecito, it now finds peace here. A wild heart finding rhythm with gentler landscapes. She calls it her quiet rebellion, her Porsche 911 Carrera 993. This one is sentimental. The 993 series, produced between 1994 and 1998, is widely considered the last true air-cooled Porsche, a timeless classic. Ellen's model, restored to perfection, is painted in silver. She loves it because it doesn't try too hard. It just is. She's been known to drive it on early morning runs through the countryside, windows down, music up, the kind of drives where nobody asks for selfies or signatures. Just her, the road, and that unmistakable 911 hum. A reminder that not all beauty needs to shout. Porsche 911 Turbo S 997.2. Now this is performance. The 997.2 Turbo S, with over 530 horsepower, is as close to a race car as a road car can get, capable of hitting 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. Ellen first drove this model in Los Angeles. Back then, it was about escaping traffic and beating time. Today, it's about savoring the ride. The cabin is wrapped in soft leather, the controls simple, focused, just like her taste. She often says it's the only car that still makes her grin at every red light. Each of these vehicles isn't just a machine. They're companions, each from a different chapter in her life. Some remind her of Hollywood, others of silence. Some are bold, others understated. But together, they tell us something Ellen rarely says out loud. That even a quiet life needs a fast lane now and then. Because while she's traded stages for fields and scripts for stillness, Ellen DeGeneres hasn't stopped moving. Not completely. And in her garage, under canvas covers and polished chrome, her past and present meet. In steel, in sound, and in stories on 4 wheels. But what drives a woman like Ellen to build this life? From stand-up stages to a sanctuary of speed and serenity? The answer, as always, is hidden in the numbers. What does $500 million really look like? Is it marble floors and rare art? Is it Rolls-Royce engines or gold-trimmed penthouses? For Ellen DeGeneres, wealth is quieter than that, but no less powerful. Her net worth, by the latest estimates, stands at a staggering $500 million. That number alone could make headlines. But the story behind it? Far more fascinating. Let's rewind to where it all began. Not with a talk show, but with a risk. In the late 90s, after coming out publicly and watching her sitcom Ellen get canceled, most of Hollywood turned its back on her. But Ellen didn't fold. She waited. Then she rebuilt. By 2003, she was back, and not just as a performer, but as a brand. The Ellen DeGeneres show changed everything. With daytime ratings climbing, advertisers pouring in, and syndication deals multiplying, she was soon earning an estimated $50 to $60 million per year just from the show itself. But Ellen didn't stop at the stage. She ventured into voice acting, most famously as Dory in Pixar's Finding Nemo and Finding Dory, roles that not only paid handsomely, but became iconic worldwide. Then came American Idol, a one-season stint as a judge that added millions to her bottom line, even if she later admitted it wasn't her fit. And yet the real magic? Sponsorships, licensing, merchandising, royalties. The sources are diverse, but the theme is clear. Ellen knows how to turn attention into longevity and fame into freedom. And what does she do with all of it? She buys back her time. Time to be with Portia. Time to design, to farm, to breathe. Time to disappear from the noise. Because to Ellen, wealth is not about accumulation. It's about liberation. And now, on 43 acres of English serenity, she's finally spending it the way she always wanted. Quietly, intentionally, freely. But if money built the walls around her sanctuary, kindness built its foundation. Let's take a closer look at how Ellen turned generosity into her greatest legacy. Philanthropy. Before there was the fame. Before the billions of YouTube views, the standing ovations, the Emmys. There was a young girl who survived pain with humor. And perhaps that's why Ellen DeGeneres' greatest legacy isn't measured in awards or real estate, but in how fiercely she gives. Because if laughter was her gift to the world, then kindness was her promise. It began quietly enough. During the early days of the Ellen DeGeneres show, she would end each episode with the now iconic line, "Be kind to one another." At first, it sounded like a sign-off, but over time, it became a movement. Ellen didn't just preach kindness, she practiced it, episode after episode, story after story. From paying off student loans to building homes for families in crisis, her show became a platform for radical generosity. Sometimes it was as simple as buying a single mother a car. Other times, it was as grand as giving $1 million to an entire audience, each person chosen for their acts of goodness in their communities. In partnership with Cheerios, her campaign 1 Million Acts of Good swept across America like a kindness revolution. The message was clear: small acts ripple wide. But Ellen didn't stop at feel-good TV moments. When Hurricane Harvey devastated Houston in 2017, she didn't just offer words, she offered help. Teaming up with Apple, she donated $1 million to relief efforts, aiding displaced families and overwhelmed shelters. A year later, when California wildfires tore through homes, including ones near her own, Ellen stepped up again, raising funds for firefighters, animal rescue centers, and local victims. For her, disaster wasn't distant, it was personal, and action was the only response. Her compassion also crossed oceans. In 2018, for her 60th birthday, Portia de Rossi surprised Ellen with a gift that would redefine her philanthropic legacy: the Ellen Fund. Dedicated to global wildlife conservation, particularly the endangered mountain gorillas in Rwanda, the fund collaborates with the Dian Fossey Gorilla Fund and has already contributed over $5 million to build the Ellen DeGeneres campus. The center isn't just a sanctuary for gorillas. It's a beacon of education, environmental research, and community development. But Ellen's generosity wasn't limited to nature. As one of the first openly gay women in Hollywood, she became a powerful advocate for the LGBTQ+ community, not just in words, but with resources. She's donated to organizations like the Trevor Project, GLAAD, and the Human Rights Campaign, helping protect the mental health, rights, and dignity of LGBTQ+ youth across the globe. Every check she's written carries the weight of her story and the hope that others might not suffer in silence as she once did. She also supports health organizations like St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, Feeding America, and Project Angel Food, providing meals and medical support for families facing life-threatening illness. Her motto? Simple. I stand for honesty, equality, kindness, compassion, and helping those in need. It's not branding, it's belief. Ellen may have built a media empire, but the foundation was always empathy, because she never forgot what it felt like to be ignored, to be doubted, to be different. And that memory became her mission. Now, far from the Hollywood spotlight, tucked into her English retreat, Ellen continues to give, not for the cameras, not for the claps, but because it's who she is. And in that stillness, beyond the fame, the wealth, and the giving, lies a woman who has found the rarest treasure of all, a life lived gently with the one she loves. So let's step even closer and glimpse the quiet rhythms of Ellen's personal world, personal life. There was a time when every day of Ellen DeGeneres' life ended with applause, audiences on their feet, spotlights lingering on her smile, producers waiting backstage, always waiting. But today, her days end differently. No roar of crowds, no cameras, just a quiet clink of a teacup on stoneware, and the gentle voice of Portia de Rossi reading aloud beside her. This, not the Hollywood frenzy, not the private jets or primetime interviews, is Ellen's new rhythm, a rhythm she chose. Together, Ellen and Portia have built a world that whispers instead of shouts. After nearly 2 decades in the spotlight, they've retreated into ritual over routine, presence over performance, love over legacy. At Kitesbridge Farm, their mornings begin slowly. Portia tends to the roses in the garden. Ellen walks the dogs, often barefoot, through dew-covered grass. They share breakfast on a stone terrace that overlooks the distant hills, sometimes in silence, sometimes laughing like schoolgirls. There's no urgency here, no scripts to memorize, no makeup chair waiting at 5 a.m. In this life, Ellen paints. Yes, paints. She's taken to abstract landscapes, often pulling from the very view outside their windows. Her art isn't for sale. It isn't even shown. It simply exists. Like her joy now, quiet, sacred, untouched by opinion. Portia, too, has embraced this softer life. Her passion for architecture and horses has turned into small design projects and quiet equestrian mornings. Sometimes they host close friends from Los Angeles, intimate weekends filled with fireside conversations, homemade meals, and old vinyl records echoing through the halls. No press, no phones, just connection. They still travel, discreetly, mostly through Europe. Venice in the winter, Provence in late spring, and always back to their Cotswolds home, where the wind sounds like ocean waves when it brushes the wheat fields. Ellen has spoken little about this new chapter, but those close to her say she's softer now. Still sharp, still funny, still deeply curious, but less guarded. She no longer performs. She simply is. Their love, after more than 15 years, has only deepened. They've faced criticism, weathered tabloid storms, endured distance and scrutiny. But now? Now they exist in a space they created together, one that doesn't need permission or applause, one that feels like enough. And maybe that's the most radical thing Ellen DeGeneres has ever done. To choose stillness in a world addicted to motion. To choose real love in a world obsessed with image. To build a life where the loudest thing is laughter echoing from the kitchen. So what do you think? Is it possible to leave behind the noise and find yourself in the quiet? If Ellen could trade the spotlight for sunlight, the applause for peace, could you? If this glimpse into her quiet, intentional life inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because sometimes the most extraordinary journeys begin when we finally slow down and, as Ellen always said, be kind to one another.